Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome with group 3. Today we are going to presentation about total physical response, communicative language teaching and task-based language teaching. Okay, the first is I want to explain to you about what is total physical response. Total physical response is teaching method language teaching. Third, physical movement and involve using the body to help students learn new vocabulary and grammar structure. The method is particularly effective with beginner and young language learners as it helps them to associate language with physical movement and makes the learning process more interactive and engaging. Next is history of total physical response. Total physical response is a language teaching method that was developed by Dr. James Asser in the late 1960s. The method became popular in the 1970s and 1980 and it is still widely used today, particularly in language programs. Next is objective of total physical response. Objective of total physical response is to teach a new language in a way that mimics the natural process of language. The method emphasizes the use of physical movement and gesture in language learning and aims to make language learning a fun and interactive experience.
Okay, next I am here for explain about principle of TPR. Here are some principle of TPR. First, listening before speaking. The second, repetition and reinforcement. The last, use of physical movement and gesture. Overall, the principle of TPR is make language learning a fun and interactive experience that encourage learners to acquire language through meaningful context and physical movement. Move to the technique of TPR. Here are some technique of TPR. The first, use of comments in TPR. The teacher gives comments to the learners in the target language and the learners respond with physical movement and gesture. For example, the teacher meets say stand up and the learners should stand up. The last, storytelling. TPR often use storytelling to introduce new vocabulary and grammar structure. The teacher tells a story using physical movement and gesture, and the learners respond by mimicking the action. Next, advantage. Here is the list of advantage of teaching English one-to-one. The first, since there is only one student in the class, he or she gets unified teacher's attention. It helps for a better understanding of the learner's needs and the students get feedback on the learning process faster. The second, the student has more control over the page of the lessons, material, and etc. The third, one-to-one is a good opportunity for the real interaction, where the student can use the teacher as a resource of answering questions and practicing speaking. The fourth, the teacher can work independently and earn more. The last, the teacher doesn't have to worry about group dynamics, let rivals, discipline, and etc. The last, disadvantage. The first, it might be difficult to measure the student's progress without other students they compare with or without the syllabus. Second, some students feel more comfortable making mistakes together with other students, not alone in front of the teacher. The third, also there is the human factor plays a role, and the teacher and learner may not get on well, and therefore classes can be exhausting for both. The fourth, constantly new approaches have to be developed, otherwise the class may get boring in the long term. The last, it may be challenging to find and adopt the right materials for the personal needs of the students.
So I'm going to talk about definition of communicative language teaching. Communicative language teaching is an approach to language teaching that emphasizes the importance of communication in language learning. The focus of CLT is on the development of communicative competence, which is the ability to use language in real-life situations to achieve communicative goals. In CLT, language is taught through the use of communicative activities such as role plays, discussions, and problem solving tasks, where learners engage in meaningful communication in the target language.
I want to explain about the next material, principle of CLT, technique of CLT, advantages and disadvantages of CLT. And the first, I want to explain about principle of CLT. Some key principles of communicative language teaching include: the first, communication is the main goal of language learning, and the second, language learning is best achieved through interaction and communication. Overall, the principle of communicative language teaching emphasizes the importance of communication in language learning and encourages learners to develop their language skill through interaction and meaningful use of the language.
Definition of task-based language teaching. As based language teaching, TBLT is an approach to language interaction that focuses on the use of language in real life, meaningful tasks. The approach emphasizes the importance of communication and the development of fluency in the language rather than on the memorization of rules or vocabulary.
Okay, here I will explain about principle of stability. Principle of stability is to promote language learning through the act of authentic and meaningful tasks, to foster communication, collaboration, and learning autonomy, and to provide learners with multiple opportunities to practice and ask language in different contexts.